Hi there, well my name's the Captain, I'm one of the Scottish Sovereigns and driving southbound at Lay-by 52 on the A9 in our beautiful country in Scotland. I have came across this gentleman here with a Mercedes car, and on the front of it he's got it marked up that Mrs Ingram was murdered by a bent cop, a GP and an ambulance driver. Can I ask you, sir, just to step away from your generator so that we can hear you? And this here that we can see here is the River Garry, and in our beautiful countryside here you'll see the sign for Brewer. So could you tell the Scottish Sovereigns what happened? What's your name first of all, please?
Charles Ingram.
Mr. Charles Ingram. Right, Mr. Ingram. So what happened? Why are you here?
Well, it all started 16 years ago.
16 years ago, yeah.
Yes, this young lady used to cut my hair.
Yes.
And she married a cop.
Uh-huh.
And I went down one night to get my hair cut.
Uh-huh.
And he wasn't there, he was in Blairgowrie's, a Detective Sergeant Bell at that time.
Right.
And he phoned up while she was cutting my hair, and we went through onto the street and had a cup of coffee, and the police car was circling the house while we were there.
Uh-huh.
He was made up to a police inspector and he came to Pitlochry, and I lost my garage business over him.
Right.
That was the start of it. But his brother-in-law stayed opposite us.
Uh-huh.
His name was Alistair McGregor.
Uh-huh.
And him and his pal, Willie McLeod.
Uh-huh.
Give us a really hard time, and I went to Perth Sheriff Court fighting for my shotgun licence, and the two of them went to the sheriff and had the decision reversed and went about the village bragging about it.
That you didn't get your shotgun licence given to you?
Because of that pair.
Right.
And they eventually forced us out of the house, my mother, after 32 years.
Right.
And we went to Dalwhinnie, which was 100 times worse.
Right.
I think it's one of the most thieving capitals of the Highlands.
Right.
And they couldn't get us out of the house because of mother's age, and eventually took her life from her to get us out of the house.
And
how they got me out of the house?
How did they take your mother's life? What did they do to kill her?
Well, they give her the lethal injection to take her life from her.
And do you know what that injection was that they gave her?
I don't, but I know for a fact that the ambulance driver put the thing on mother to see if her heart was going, and her heart was going as well as mine, and he just turned the thing off right away, thinking I didn't see it, but I saw it.
Right, okay.
And how they got me out of the house was...
And did they put a drip into your mother's arm?
No,
was there a jag went into your mother's arm?
They took her life from her.
Right, they took her life by a jag, and it was done by a doctor? Was it a doctor? A doctor did this, and the ambulance driver, was he present when the doctor was doing this?
He was first on the scene, and he put the thing on to see if her mother was still alive.
This was to listen to see if her heart was beating?
Yes, and she was as much alive as I am.
Right, okay, and was she awake at the time?
He had dived and switched the thing off, thinking I didn't see it, but I saw it.
Right, okay.
And they've done everything in their power to hide it.
Okay, and they're covering it up.
They're covering it up.
The authorities are covering it up.
Yes.
Do you know what the name of this doctor was?
I don't know his name.
You don't know the doctor's name? He was from Aviemore. What date did this happen?
On the 25th of January, 3 years ago.
The 25th of January 2011, is that correct?
That should be right.
And you're alleging that Mrs Ingram was murdered by a bent cop, a GP and an ambulance driver. And you're Mr Charles Ingram.
That's right.
Right, Mr Ingram, I see that you've got your protest here on lay-by number
52.
Lay-by number 52 on the A9, and I will make sure that this news is posted on Scottish Sovereign Radio tonight, and people will know why you're here and why you're protesting here.
I would like to tell you how they got me out of the house. One morning I was coming down to my mother's grave, and they stopped with 4 or 5 police cars surrounding my car, dragged me out of the car, cuffed me, took me into Inverness and said I had firearms. I had no firearms. After 12 hours they dropped the charges, but they weren't happy with that. They took me up to the mental hospital and they kept me there for a month, and 3 psychiatrists said there was nothing wrong with the man, and they kicked me out.
And they used the Mental Health Scotland Act in order to detain you, in order to get time to get you out of your house. That is absolutely outrageous.
And I've lost absolutely everything in the house.
And you're homeless now?
I'm homeless.
Absolutely ridiculous. This is absolutely outrageous. The way these authorities can use the unlawful legislation that has been passed by Elizabeth Mary Alexander Battenberg, masquerading as our fraudulent monarch. So I will make sure that this news that you have given me goes on to the Scottish Sovereigns tonight, sir, and it was a great pleasure to meet you, and I'm very, very sorry about the tragedy that's happened in your life, and I'll make sure that our fellow Scotsmen hear about your story tonight. Thank you very much for being...
But there's quite a lot more to it than that.
Unfortunately I don't have time, sir, for to go into any more depth in it due to 1, lack of experience, and 2, I'll have to get my load moving south. So thanks very much, sir. Thank you.